Hello everyone, I am Kirtana S from Department of Food Technology, SNS College of Technology. Welcome back to our Food Microbiology YouTube lecture series. In today's video, we are going to answer one powerful question. Why do microbes grow rapidly in some foods but fail to grow in others, even at room temperature? The answer lies inside the food itself. These internal factors are called intrinsic parameters of food safety, and that is what we are going to discuss in today's lecture series. Let's dive in detail. So, let's recall what we had in last video. So, we discussed about various contamination sources like plant, animal based, pest related, and ingredient based, right? Yes. In today's topic, we are going to discuss about the 6 intrinsic parameters that are present, minimum growth that are required for microbial growth, and also the other contamination. Why these intrinsic parameters matter? So let's take an example. Milk, as we all know, it's going to spoil in hours, whereas jam, that is going to last for months. Let's take pickle, that is going to survive without refrigeration for a longer time than the jam. Same room temperature, different outcomes. Why? Because every food has its own internal condition that either invite or reject the microorganism. So over here we have the 6 intrinsic parameter that decide whether the microbes can survive. The first one is going to be the pH level, which is the acidity or the alkalinity in a product, water activity, oxidation reduction potential, nutrient content, natural antimicrobials, and the biological structures. Together, they control the microbial destiny of the food. Okay, over here we'll be discussing about the pH, that is the acidity factor. So basically the pH is going to tell us how acidic or the alkaline a particular food is. Most bacteria love the neutral pH, that is the pH between 6.6 to 7.5. Pathogens usually struggle below pH 4.6. So when we talk about meat and poultry products, the pH range is going to be 5.1 to 6.4, which is going to support many bacterial growth. In fruits, pH below 3.5, mainly yeast and mold are going to grow. Salmonella can survive near pH under 4 under special or optimal condition. That's why acidic foods like pickles and citrus foods are naturally safer. Then we have the water activity, that is the free water. Microbes need free water to grow. This is usually measured as water activity from 0 to 1. Most spoilage bacteria is going to be less than 0.91. Staphylococcus aureus as low as 0.86, molds around 0.8, xerophilic molds 0.6. Dry foods like biscuits, powders, and grains spoil slowly because microbes are thirsty, but the water is going to be locked. And then we have something called the oxidation reduction potential. This is going to tell us whether the food supports. So we have something called aerobes, which needs the oxygen for the growth. For an example, for that we can take the molds of Pseudomonas, whereas anaerobes, they grow without oxygen. Clostridium is an excellent example for the anaerobes. Plant juices usually have high oxygen levels, whereas meat has lower oxygen levels. So different products attract different types of microbes. And that is what we have with respect to the oxidation reduction potential. Then we have the nutrient content. Microorganisms need sugars and amino acids for the energy, nitrogen for the growth, vitamins and minerals. So food that is rich in nutrients like milk, meat, and cooked rice become the microbial buffets. Then we have natural antimicrobial constituents. Some foods protect themselves naturally. For an example, let's take garlic, which has allicin that is present, which is going to protect itself naturally by acting as the inhibitor to the microbial growth. Whereas clove and cinnamon, eugenol is going to be present. Let's take milk, lactoferrin is an enzyme or lactoperoxidase, and in eggs, lysozyme enzyme. These substances slow or stop microbial growth. Nature has its own preservative. Over here, we have the last parameter, biological structure. Many foods have natural shields like eggshells, fruit skins, nutshells. But what actually happens is when we slice it or cut it or grind it, the bruising breaks these barriers and exposes the rich nutrients, making the food highly vulnerable. That is where the microbial entry has an opportunity, or the microbes take an opportunity to enter into the product. So, this is what we see with respect to the biological structures. And then we have the takeaways of what we learned. Multiple factors, right? The six intrinsic parameters which work together as a microbial destiny in the food systems. So that is what we have discussed with this, how they usually act as a parameter in case of food. And then we have the curiosity challenge moment. Yes, why does microorganism grow rapidly in some foods but fail to grow in others, even when kept at room temperature? Recall the factors often remembered by the acronym FATO. So, let's take an example as jam. Why does jam stay safe for months while milk spoils in hours? Think of the acronym. What is meant by FATO? Exactly. Food, acidity, time, temperature, oxygen, and moisture. So, jam is basically acidic and low in free water, whereas milk is neutral and rich in moisture. Same temperature, different fate. That is what happens. Okay, over here we have the assessment quiz. Which nutrient requirement is essential for the microorganism structure and obtain the energy? Light, food, or nutrients, salt only? And the next question is, which acronym is used to remember the conditions required for the microbial growth, which we discussed in the last slide? S. For the first question, the option is exactly going to be the B, food or nutrients. And for the abbreviation as or the acronym, we know that it's going to be the FATO. And these are few references which is related to the content which we have discussed today. To conclude with this, microbial growth is not random. It is controlled by 6 intrinsic parameters as we discussed, from pH till the biological structures. Understanding these helps us design safer foods, better preservation methods, and longer shelf life. Because in food safety, what's inside the food is what decides its future. Thank you.